Welcome to another episode of Let's Think About It with Dr. E. I am so excited to be back in the studio once again to share some exciting news. But listen, guys, if you have not subscribed to Let's Think About It with Dr. E, I need for you to go right now. Go to my YouTube channel. You're only going to find this link and this drop and this latest content on YouTube. So I need for you to go like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll know when new content drops. You don't want to miss this exciting news. This has been an amazing adventure of riding this thing out, of this new podcast launch. I think this is 2 months now. And it's been exciting. I'm telling you, I've got great feedback. I've enjoyed the engagement. And so I'm looking forward. So 2025 is going to be exciting. We got some new stuff coming out in 2025. You don't want to miss it. So get in right now. Go to YouTube and subscribe to Dr. Erica Hendricks so you can be in the know for Let's Think About It with Dr. E. So today's episode, we're going to be focusing on women. And you would say, well, Dr. Eric, you talk about women a lot. No, I'm very intentional today. Today, we're going to dive deep into the topic of the role of the African American woman that we play in the political arena and the black church. So today, we're going to talk about faith and fire, how black women lead. Faith and fire, how black women lead. Now, picture this. A church on Sunday morning. Choir roll was flowing. I know people don't rock choir rolls, but just picture with me. Go with me on this. Choir roll was flowing. Voices singing. The congregation unified in spirit. And imagine a small group of women of faith building behind the scenes. They're prepping for the service. They're getting ready for the outreach. They're getting ready for youth church. They're getting ready for the service to take place. All behind the scenes. The church has long been a place of refuge, empowerment, and a launching pad for the voices of the women beyond the church. But the black church, more importantly, was built on the backs of black women. We were the ones who got the church ready for Sunday morning. We prepared it. The men may have come in back in the day when my granddaddy was growing up. They would come in and put coal in the wood stove, get it warm and get it ready for Sunday morning. But we got the other things prepared for Sunday morning. We made sure it was clean. We made sure you had those funeral home fans. We made sure that everything was prepared and ready for Sunday morning to take place. So I asked myself the question, the faith that it took to build the church is the same faith it's going to take for us as African American women, and not just black women, but women in general. It's going to take that same faith for you to build yourself. Faith without works is dead. For without faith, it's impossible to please God. So we need faith in every area of our lives. So you saying, Dr. Erica, I cannot do life without faith? You can try it. But I'm talking to the kind of faith when your back is up against the wall and you're trying to figure out, God, how is this going to come together? I'm talking about the kind of faith when you're saying, God, I don't know if this is going to work out in my favor. I've seen it happen for other people, but God, is it going to happen for me? I've seen other people trust you in areas where I have doubted you in. God, when is it going to be my turn? God, I've seen other women press past their situation and overcome the depression and overcome the obstacles in their life. God, when is it going to be my turn? That's the kind of faith that I'm talking about. I'm talking about faith under fire, faith under pressure, the kind of faith that you can only build when you've been put in a tight place. You see, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So you can't always see your faith. You just got to trust God that it's going to work out in your favor. So let's step into the sanctuary of the political stage. Visualize with me for a moment. Kamala Harris, who grew up in Oakland, California, in a black Baptist church. She attended services. She watched her mother and other women navigate through activism and predominantly in a male-led world. Now picture her at the Capitol as the Vice President of the United States. It's a powerful image. African American women have, and despite facing both racial and gender-based discrimination, have risen to prominent positions, shaping policy, advocating for justice, whether on the pulpit or in the political stage. So today we're going to look at how women have woven faith into their fight for justice, sometime against all odds. So let's look at the first influential voice in history that I chose for us. When African American women step into leadership, it's not by chance. It's by necessity. Lean in, I need for you to get that point. It is not by chance. It is by necessity. Every time we've stepped up to the plate to fill in the gap, it was necessary. It was necessary for us to lead during one of the most pivotal moments in our time and in my lifetime, during the deaths of Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, Eric Gardner. Those are the voices of the nameless and the faces of those individuals who died with a name, but whose voice of the woman who was on the forefront. Let me rewind to the 19th century. Black women could not just rely on the political system that denied them the fundamental rights. They had to create a system to support them. And oftentimes that system was created within the church. You see, the church was the place that the woman could lead, a lot of times behind the scenes, but her voice was powerful. It pushed, it led, it guided. I ask you the question today, does your voice have the power to lead? Does your voice have the power to guide? Sojourner Truth comes to mind, a formerly enslaved woman whose sermons on freedom, equality demanded attention. In 1851, at the Women's Right Convention in Akron, Ohio, Sojourner delivered her famous speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" Here's a phrase from that speech. It says, "That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into the carriages or over the mud puddles or gives me the best place. Ain't I a woman?" You see, she was giving voice to the African American voices because she saw the men help our white counterparts into the carriages, help them cross the ditches, and give them into the best places. So this speech was not a rallying cry just for sexism and racism, but it highlighted the gap between the treatment of white women and black women. She had a fire to make things right, and that fire was led by her faith that she carried every day. You see, Sojourner Truth had a fight in her and a fire that led her to be one of the greatest abolitionist women voices of the 18th century. Where are those voices of those fighters, of those women on the front line who are not afraid to take on sexism and racism and discrimination? Where are those voices? You see, we can no longer hide behind the voice of a man. We've got to step into the forefront and take our voice back. We're living in a pivotal season that if we see in our time an African American woman become president, we will now see the voice of not just a woman, but a woman of Asian descent and a woman of African American descent. That's a powerful voice. So we've got to understand that faith comes with a cost. Faith comes with opposition. Your faith comes with resistance when you're trying to make something happen. You cannot allow your faith to die by the side of the road because it gets hard. You've got to trust in the God of our ancestors and the God of today and believe and trust that, God, you gave me this idea. You gave me this vision. Now, God, give me the ingenuity and the ability to carry it out to its fullest. You see, your voice has the power to carry through valleys. It has the power to carry through mountains. It can carry over troubled waters. We've got to understand that our voices under fire, they should not be smothered by the smoke. But you got to rise above the ashes and tell yourself, ain't I a woman? That's the voice that we have to understand. Then there's Nanny Helen Burroughs. You may not have heard of her, but she founded the National Training School for Women and Girls in 1909. Think about it. A black woman founded an institution at a time when education opportunities were limited even for black men. She taught women that faith was more than a personal practice. It was a call to action. Burroughs didn't wait for permission. She took faith and social justice into her own hands, integrating them into education, training, and activism. This faith didn't just speak, it shouted for change. If there's one takeaway, I need for you to understand that African American women, we don't just adapt to systems. We redefine systems. We create systems. We invent systems. And more importantly, lean in. You are the system. You're the system for change. You're the system for now. You're the system for the future. Stop looking for someone else to be your voice. You be the voice in your family. Be the voice in your community. Be that voice that's connected to your faith. Their faith isn't quiet or passive. It's revolutionary. So if you find yourself questioning what you stand for, or whether your voice matters, remember these women. They didn't wait for permission, and neither should you. I ask yourself the question, are the women in your family that have voices and they don't know the right time to voice it? Are the women in your family or in your community, in your church, who have something to say, but they're not being given the opportunity to speak it? Women, I challenge you, create a space for their voice. You see, I often think about how grateful I am to have voices of women in my family who gave me a space to speak. I had a community who gave me a space to speak. I had a church who taught us, from our Easter speeches to our Christmas speeches. We got in front of a congregation, and those speeches led us and taught us how to be in the forefront. But it also gave me the courage and the ability to speak even in an empty space. You see, sometimes you gotta take courage under your wing. Sometimes you gotta fight, even when your voice feels like it's been drowned by the voices of men. Women, sometimes your voices are drowned by your kids, because sometimes you get lost in motherhood. And sometimes you're like, I just need to step away because I feel like I'm being smothered. I was talking to a young lady recently on a plane. She began to tell me, she said, I love being a wife. I love being a mother. She said, but sometimes I just need time for me. So she said, guess what I did? I got me a plane ticket and I'm hopping on this plane. And I'm just taking a 2-day trip to Atlanta. I said, well, good for you. She said, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. I'm just going. She said, I told my husband, this weekend is you and the kids. This weekend is just me. And so she took that moment and she said, do you have any recommendations? So I told her some areas that she might can go and visit. But I told her, I said, but guess what? Don't busy yourself with things. If you don't do nothing but just sightsee, ride around, take a walk, but make time, you take some time for yourself. She said, I just need to get away so I can just come back and plug back in. Sometimes it's the unplugging that we need to be able to plug back in. Because sometimes you can drain yourself because you stay plugged in too long and you don't know when to unplug. I am a workaholic. And I sometimes do not know when to unplug, detach, pull away, separate, because I feel like I need to get it done. So I feel like if I don't get it done, something's not going to get done. But I realize something. My voice carries weight. And sometimes I don't realize how powerful my own voice is. You said, Dr. Erica, you got a podcast, you preach. Sometimes I don't realize it. Sometimes I feel like my voice doesn't matter at times. So sometimes I have to give myself my own pep talk, pat my own self on the back and say, you matter. Keep pushing. Don't give up. And I have to tap into my own faith and realize that sometimes my faith gets low, just like yours. And sometimes I need accountability partners. I had to call my girlfriend and say, hey, I'm running low today, or in our group text, hey, I need a boost. I need an extra boost today. And they know what that means. And so we know how to tap into each other and push. Push your way to your next level. Don't you stop till you get to your next stop. And when you reach that stop, don't you stop till you get to your next stop. You see, there is a perpetual movement with voice. Voice doesn't stop when that project finishes, because you got to give voice to something else. See, our voices under fire carry weight. So don't you forget, for someone to give you permission, give yourself permission. Neither should you wait on someone else to open the door. Open your own door. Remember, women, your voice has weight. You matter. Stand strong. And no matter what you do, be bold, and be bold unapologetically. Ain't I a woman? Thank you for tuning in for Let's Think About It with Dr. E.